This is the 5th consecutive year that I'm going to be doing these Halloween videos, and as per usual, I wanted to do something that was pretty well known. And if there's one film series that has hung over my own web series like a queen xenomorph waiting to stab its tail through my stomach and rip me in half, metaphorically, it's Alien.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
From all the way back in 1979 to as recently as this past calendar year, the Alien series is one of the most revered, inspirational, and recognizable collection of movies in horror history. This series has launched and extended careers, it's changed the way that a lot of horror movies are made in Hollywood, and it's been the basis for hundreds of parodies. But if I'm being totally honest with you, I'm not prepared to go into anything extensive with the Alien series. I never played any of the video games, I don't know the names of any of the creatures outside of just xenomorphs, and I haven't seen a few of the sequels or crossovers. And if we're going to talk at all about the lore and history surrounding the Alien series, we should probably start from the beginning. And luckily for me, the best place to start is the beginning, because Alien is amazing. Ridley Scott's Alien depicts the crew of the cargo ship Nostromo in space. After picking up the transmitter signal from a nearby moon, they investigate it, finding dozens of resting alien eggs. One of the eggs infects a crew member, unknowingly bringing the new alien life form onto the ship as it wreaks havoc and kills the shipmates one by one. So the crew have to band together to destroy the creature and return home safely. None of which really pans out the way they want it to. I want to have a fresh take on the movies that I talk about, and I know that other people will talk in expansive detail about the behind-the-scenes chaos, the fact the writer straight up admitted to copying everything space-related so that he could make the story work, the overall grossness of how some of the effects were done. All that stuff can be better explained by people who are much more knowledgeable about the series as a whole. So in the interest of being different, I will not directly focus on anything in this video besides what you can already see on the screen. So no secrets about which effects were kept hidden from the crew to provoke genuine reactions, no literary Easter eggs in the naming of the ships, and I don't even know where to start with it, so this is the only time you'll ever hear me use the name H.R. Geiger. So if we're just going on face value alone, just with what our eyes can see on the screen, Alien is what I would describe from front to back as the perfect horror film. Even starting with the setting. Space. Space is terrifying. It's so black and unknown. It's incomprehensibly big. Your only safety up there is a tight, confined space with nothing but emptiness and pressure surrounding it. And pretty much everything that isn't actively trying to kill you in space could do it accidentally. The exterior shots are one thing. You really don't get a grasp of how big the ship is that they're on until one of the smaller ships actually leaves it, but the Nostromo seems walkable, traversable. It feels like you could follow the pipes down each hallway, and when you get to the end, there's an actual room where people could live and hang out and eat. None of it feels like a movie set, which is incredibly impressive when you see the alien ship. The wreckage they explore at the beginning of the movie feels like you've actually stepped onto another planet, and everything from the walls to the floor to the lighting feels completely original. And that's not even taking into consideration all the weird shit that you see that isn't architectural, like the space jockey. What is that? What the hell is that? Seriously, it's gorgeous in a weird kind of way, but what is it? Just looking at everything from a moment's glance, the fog, the settings, the columns that are supporting the building structure, you have to actually get a jump to remember. Oh right, aliens. There are aliens in the movie Alien.
Oh God!
I'm not going to pretend that the alien is always scary. When you see the big rubber suit hanging out outside the spaceship, takes a lot out of it. But it's easily one of the greatest creature designs in all of fiction. And unlike a lot of other features, you see its entire lifespan in the space of one movie. You see it nest, you see it grow, and you see it as an adult. Oh, look at him. He's a bloodthirsty murderer by age 1.
Precocious little scamp, ain't I?
And in each stage of their life, they do have little details about them that I think are really impressive that you don't really notice until a second or third viewing. Like when the facehugger alien is choking Kane after he's first attacked. It's not so that he can kill him, even though it looks like the grip is constantly tightening to choke off his air tube. It's so that the creature can't be ripped off of his face before it's done laying eggs. That's not a strangling grip, it's an anchor. The xenomorph is just human-like enough to be considered familiar, while just out of the ordinary enough to be considered something completely new. It is huge enough to be a threat, but it's small enough to creep into vents and blend into the ship's interior, and no matter how many times I watch it, this scene will always make me jump.
Yes! Oh, no, not that way, the other way, God!
I mean, you get the feeling it's not just a dumb, unthinking creature. It's smart enough to sneak onto an escape pod after the ship self-destruct starts. And I'm not the only one who likes him. Even the robot in this movie admires him, in a creepy, borderline Third Reich-y way.
Admires purity.
And I'm just going to bring this up, and be honest with me. The first time you watched Alien, did you know that Ash was an android? Because I didn't.
It's a robot. Ash is a goddamn robot.
And again, I need to bring up the difference in technological advancements as they're depicted on screen in this era. Robots, androids, cyborgs, what have you, they're all very specific with their cadence and their movement. They have a very, how do I put this? A 10 seconds to comply type of mentality.
I mean, but the time it takes to get there, they'll know if it's a warning or not, yes?
This one, however, is way too imperfect. He pauses his sentences, he reasons, he brings up alternatives, he lies, he hides information, and when he's left to his own devices, he doesn't shut off. He acts like he would if he were a normal person. But once you find out that he's actually a robot, so much more of the movie makes sense. His stone-cold expressions, his seemingly instant understanding of how the alien's biology works, and why in the scene where the xenomorph first bursts out of John Hurt's chest... And yes, I'm going to keep showing that because it's awesome. He tells everyone not to hurt it.
No, no, don't touch it! Don't touch it!
He's not worried that it's going to hurt somebody else. It's always been his directive to bring back the alien organism alive at whatever the cost. It's the most brilliant misdirection in the entire film, and I love it. Almost as much as I love when he moshes when he gets decapitated. And yeah, in case you haven't noticed it, not all the film has aged well. You know that feeling when you're watching an old movie and it's supposed to depict what things are going to look like decades into the future, and then you look at their equipment and it looks eerily similar to Tiger Electronics? Like once they're done with this, they're going to refresh the system and play Oregon Trail. And Kenneth, how about the frequency? Calling a computer by a feminine name in order to get it to work, that's got to be the most far-fetched idea in all of science fiction. Alexa, play Mother by Pink Floyd.
Mother, should I trust the government?
I mean, I wouldn't, because they kind of said the crew was expendable.
If they find what they're looking for out there, that mean we get full shares?
Don't worry, Parker, yeah. You'll get whatever's coming to you.
Now, this isn't to say that the human characters aren't good, too, because, for the most part, they're pretty awesome. Tom Skerritt, Harry Dean Stanton, Yaphet Kotto. Oh, and special props go out to Veronica Cartwright as Lambert, who reacts to everything here with pretty much as much self-control and reservation as I would.
And end up like the others? No, you're out of your mind. Move, get out of there.
Proving once again that whether it's the Birds, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or this, when you need someone to scream and cry, you call Cartwright first. Not to mention that the first person you see on screen in the movie is John Hurt. So you're made to believe that he's actually gonna be the main character. I mean, it makes sense. He's the one they send out to the ship. He has a majority of the lines in the first few scenes. He doesn't stay behind. He gets right into the action and just screws everything up. And thus begins the long-standing alien tradition of humans dicking around too much with aliens and getting everybody killed. And then there's Ripley. Glorious! Ripley is such an amazing character. Double props go to Sigourney Weaver for really pulling this off. It is incredible to see anybody written as well as she is, let alone a woman in a horror film in the 1970s. She doesn't quip one-liners because she's too busy running for her life. She doesn't talk to herself or make jokes because by the end of the movie, she's all alone and desperately trying to get out with her life. She's quick thinking, but she's never hot-headed or dumbed down by her emotions. She's always expressing that she is aware of the situation she's in. She is terrified of what's going on, but she's going to fight on regardless. The last 15 or 20 minutes of this film, she is left entirely alone to fend for herself, and it is nothing but tension as you follow her escape from the Nostromo. But from the minute she sees the bodies of Parker and Lambert to the end where she puts out the alien with a harpoon gun and sets it on fire with the ship's engines. If there was a Mount Rushmore of horror heroes, she would be one of the heads. Probably next to Bruce Campbell.
T-minus 3 minutes.
Think of any element that makes up a good movie, and this one has it. Great cinematography, stunning visuals, innovative and disturbingly realistic effects, characters that aren't just there to fill up space or be dead meat for the creature to stop and feast on every 10 minutes. A cat that's introduced in a horror film and lives. And as for the Alien series as a whole, it's going to take me a while to take a look at those. Not just because of the sheer volume of the films. There are 6 films in the official canon, several of which I haven't seen yet. But a lot of the series, it's not as good as the original. It sucks. A lot of the films in the series that I've seen have sucked. I promise that I'll look at them in the next coming years, but for this year, I wanted to focus on the best one. And the 1979 Ridley Scott classic is a fantastic mix of suspense and action. Even to this day, this is still one of the greatest, scariest films I've ever seen. If you've got the time to watch it and you've got access to it, please, for the love of God, turn off the lights, turn up the sound, and watch this movie, because as a standalone horror film, Alien is perfect.
This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.
Next time, we're going to celebrate the 50th video in the 13 Days of Halloween series by taking a special look at the first series I ever talked about.
Nice night.